Freud once said that human beings are not nearly as civilized as they pretend to be. Beneath the polished manners, the polite smiles, and the claims of morality, there lives a beast that craves power, chaos, and danger. And nowhere is this more unsettling than in the secret desires of women. What if the polite, stable, safe man is not the one she truly longs for? What if, beneath the surface, her attraction is drawn toward the man who unsettles her, the man who makes her pulse quicken not with comfort but with fear? This is the forbidden truth Freud exposed. Women are not only drawn to love, but to danger. To the man who seems untouchable, unpredictable, even destructive. And if you are a man listening to this, you might already feel it. The sting of rejection when you tried to be good, when you offered stability, when you made yourself easy to love. And yet, she chose someone else. Someone reckless. Someone dangerous. Freud forces us to confront the uncomfortable. Desire is not rational. Attraction is not moral. And women, in ways they themselves often cannot explain, are magnetized to the very qualities that civilized society tells us to suppress. You can ignore this truth, dismiss it as too dark, too cynical, but then you will never understand the hidden forces driving love, rejection, and power. This is the secret Freud unearthed, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, was not just a doctor of the mind. He was a grave digger of illusions. He stripped away the polite masks of Victorian society and revealed what humanity wished to hide, that beneath every smile, beneath every act of civility, lurked desires far darker than we dared admit. To Freud, our so-called morality was a thin curtain barely concealing the raw hunger of instinct. And when he spoke of women, he unearthed something men still struggle to accept. The attraction to danger is not an anomaly. It is embedded deep in the architecture of desire itself. Freud believed that the unconscious is not orderly, not kind, not moral. It is primitive. It craves what makes the heart race, what disrupts equilibrium, what shatters the dullness of safety. For women, this meant attraction often resisted logic. She might say she wants kindness, patience, stability, and she may even believe it. But her unconscious, Freud argued, is drawn toward the man who carries an edge, who threatens the ordinary, who exudes the aura of danger. Because in that danger, there is life, energy, vitality. Think of it this way. A woman can walk into a room filled with decent, reliable men. But her eyes, almost against her will drift toward the man who doesn't quite belong. The one leaning back with a dangerous calm. The one whose silence feels heavier than words. He does not chase approval. He radiates indifference, maybe even menace. And in that indifference, something awakens inside her. Desire. Freud called this tension between what we consciously claim to want and what we unconsciously desire a battle between the ego and the ID. The ego is polite, rational, eager to please. But the ID is ancient, primal, reckless. The ID doesn't care about safety. It craves what electrifies the body with intensity. And in relationships, that intensity is often bound to danger. Why is this? Freud would argue that attraction is not about what is good for us. It is about survival. The unconscious remembers what the conscious forgets. That power protects, unpredictability excites, and danger keeps the blood alive. In prehistoric times, the dangerous man was often the one who conquered, who claimed, who protected his tribe with brutal force. The safe, gentle man may have been dependable, but dependability without strength often meant death. Women's desires, Freud suggested, carry the echo of those ancient truths. It is here that Freud's insight grows more disturbing. For if women are unconsciously drawn to dangerous men, then men who suppress their own darker instincts, men who make themselves purely safe, purely harmless, may become invisible. They wonder why kindness isn't rewarded, why their patience, their stability, their goodness doesn't ignite attraction, and they grow bitter. But Freud's lesson is merciless. Desire is not born in kindness. It is born in tension, in danger, in the forbidden. Picture a man who spends his life pleasing others. He buys flowers, writes poems, sacrifices his own desires just to earn her love. And yet, when she looks at him, she feels only warmth, not fire. She respects him, maybe even cares for him. But respect without desire is not love. And so, even as he tries harder, she drifts toward another. The man who unsettles her, the one who does not beg, the one who could hurt her but chooses not to. That is the man she cannot resist. Freud forces us to see what society wants to bury. The dangerous man is not attractive because he is cruel, but because he carries the possibility of cruelty. He is not loved because he hurts, but because he could hurt, and yet restrains himself with will. That balance of danger and control ignites something primal, something civilization cannot erase. This is why the dangerous man lingers in women's imaginations. The brooding Byronic hero, the outlaw, the rebel, the one who doesn't play by the rules everyone else obeys. Freud's point is not that women love violence, but that desire itself is not logical. It feeds on danger, because danger is life condensed into a human form. So here is the uncomfortable paradox Freud exposed. If a man denies his darker edge, he risks becoming invisible. If he embraces it without restraint, he becomes destructive. The true center of attraction lies in the tension, the man who embodies danger but does not collapse into it. The man who stands at the edge of chaos but remains sovereign over himself. And that, Freud would say, is why women desire dangerous men. Not because they long for destruction, but because they long for life at its fullest intensity. And danger, more than safety, makes life pulse with unbearable intensity. Freud's revelation might seem like an artifact of another age, the whispers of a Viennese doctor surrounded by repressed Victorians. But if you look around you today, if you scroll through social media, if you study the patterns of attraction in your own life, you will see that his insight is more alive than ever. Women still chase the dangerous man, even in a world that tells them they should know better. And men, still bewildered, still wounded, still rejected, wonder why being good is not enough. Consider the modern dating world. The apps, the endless swipes, the curated profiles. Men line up with smiles, hobbies, polite messages, trying to demonstrate they are stable, safe, reliable. And yet, who stands out? The man who doesn't try. The one who seems untouchable, who doesn't flood her inbox, who radiates the calm of someone who doesn't need her approval. He might even ignore her, and paradoxically, that is what hooks her attention. It is not about cruelty, it is about energy. Freud would say that the unconscious recognizes power where the conscious sees only arrogance. The man who is indifferent, who doesn't bend to every request, signals strength, and that strength, even if it edges toward danger, ignites desire. The kind, endlessly available man becomes background noise. She respects him, maybe even pities him. But respect without tension is sterile. This is why so many men are confused today. They hear advice, be nice, be supportive, be emotionally available, and they follow it with devotion. Yet time and again, they are left asking the same painful question. Why does she keep choosing someone else? The answer is not cruelty. It is unconscious attraction. She cannot desire what does not challenge her. She cannot crave what feels too safe. Freud's lens makes modern relationships look less like a mystery and more like a battlefield of instincts. Women long for the man who unsettles them, not because they want chaos, but because they want to feel alive. The dangerous man does not bore her. He does not make himself predictable. And in a world of predictable men, unpredictability feels like a drug. This goes beyond romance. It stretches into society itself. Look at the figures who capture mass attention. The leaders, the artists, the rebels. They are rarely the safe ones. They are rarely the men who fit neatly into the rules of polite society. They are the ones who disrupt, who provoke, who threaten stability. Women, consciously or not, are drawn to them because they embody the same archetype Freud described, danger restrained just enough to be magnetic. And yet, this truth is a double-edged sword, because not every man who carries danger uses it wisely. Some collapse into cruelty, manipulation, abuse. Others wield their darkness without restraint, leaving destruction in their wake. This is the shadow Freud warned us of. When we deny the unconscious, it controls us. When we embrace it without discipline, it destroys us. The man who is truly desired is not simply dangerous. He is dangerous but controlled. He holds the knife, but chooses when not to cut. Think about your own life. Have you ever been rejected for being too nice? Have you ever felt the sting of watching her smile at you politely, but then throw herself into the arms of someone who treats her indifferently? That sting is the modern echo of Freud's revelation. Women do not dream of safe men. They dream of men who awaken their unconscious. But this is not just about women. It is also about men's relationship with themselves. Because many men today have been conditioned to neuter their own instincts. They've been told that their anger is toxic, that their ambition is selfish, that their desire for power is dangerous. And so they bury it. They become agreeable, harmless, polite. In doing so, they hope to become more lovable. But in reality, they strip themselves of the very essence that creates attraction. Freud would argue that repression never kills desire. It only drives it deeper. A man who suppresses his edge, his strength, his aggression, does not become noble. He becomes hollow. And worse, his repressed instincts erupt in unhealthy ways, through resentment, bitterness, or explosive rage. Meanwhile, the man who embraces his instincts, who learns to harness his danger, who lets his fire burn without consuming him, becomes magnetic. This is why you see the pattern everywhere in modern culture. Women profess they want safety, yet their hearts beat faster for the outlaw, the artist, the fighter, the man who could burn everything down but instead keeps his fire alive inside. Men who are merely safe disappear into obscurity. Men who are dangerously alive bend the world around them. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you are a man, the path to attraction is not to smother your instincts in order to be loved, nor is it to unleash them recklessly. It is to embody the paradox Freud revealed, to be both dangerous and disciplined, to awaken in her the primal recognition of power, while anchoring it with restraint, to let her feel that you could destroy, but you choose to create. That is why Freud's insight still disturbs us. It undermines the modern fairy tale that love is simply about kindness and compatibility. It whispers something darker, that love is bound to danger, to the raw pulse of the unconscious. And if you refuse to accept this, you will remain trapped in confusion, watching desire pass you by while you cling to illusions. Freud never handed out simple answers. He left us with uncomfortable truths, forcing each of us to wrestle with what we'd rather deny. But if we strip away the illusions, if we listen to the echoes of his insights, we begin to see clear lessons. Not advice in the casual sense, but warnings carved out of the raw architecture of human desire. The first lesson is merciless. Never mistake kindness for desire. Respect and attraction are not the same. A woman may thank you for your patience, admire your stability, even say you are a good man. But none of that guarantees she feels the fire of desire for you. Safety alone does not spark longing. If you build your entire life around being safe, you may win her approval, but you will never claim her soul. The second lesson, danger must live inside you. Not recklessness, not cruelty, not violence for its own sake, but the deep presence of power. A man who has no edge, no intensity, no capacity to disrupt is invisible. Women crave the man who carries danger like a hidden flame. The man who can fight, but chooses when not to. The man who could walk away, but chooses to stay. The dangerous man is not the one who hurts, but the one who holds the possibility of hurt, and yet directs it with discipline. Third, do not beg for love. Freud understood that begging is the death of desire. The moment you plead, the moment you chase, the moment you put yourself beneath her, you extinguish her attraction. Because in that moment, you show her you are not dangerous, not sovereign, not free. Desire feeds on tension, on polarity. The man who begs collapses the polarity and kills the spark. Fourth, embrace your instincts, but master them. Too many men today live as if their instincts are enemies. They fear their anger, their ambition, their sexuality. They suppress them in order to appear good. But Freud warned us, what you suppress will control you. The man who represses his instincts becomes bitter, explosive, unpredictable. The man who embraces them, who learns to channel them into purpose, becomes magnetic. A dangerous man is not enslaved by his instincts. He rides them like a horse, mastering their power. Fifth, do not confuse approval with attraction. A woman may smile at you, laugh at your jokes, compliment your kindness, but none of this means she desires you. Approval is polite. Desire is primal. Desire lives in the unconscious, beyond the realm of manners. You cannot earn it by ticking boxes or performing goodness. You either awaken it by who you are, or you do not. Sixth, never let fear soften you into invisibility. Many men avoid risk, avoid confrontation, avoid intensity, because they fear rejection or worse, judgment. But in that avoidance, they erase themselves. Freud would say that repression is death. If you fear your own edge, you erase the very thing that could set you apart. A man without sharpness is not a man who avoids danger. He is a man who avoids life. And the final lesson, become the man who could burn the world but doesn't. That is the essence of desire. Not the brute who lashes out, not the tyrant who destroys, but the sovereign man who carries the fire inside him and holds it steady. Women feel it, they sense it, they are drawn to it like moths to flame, because in him they see the paradox of danger and restraint, chaos and control, life and death. If you carry these lessons not as performance but as truth, you shift the entire axis of attraction. You stop chasing approval. You stop begging for affection. You stop neutering yourself in the hope of being loved. Instead, you step into power, and paradoxically, it is in that power that love begins to chase you. Because Freud's insight is not just about women. It is about the man himself. A man who represses his instincts is divided, weak, hollow. A man who embraces his instincts recklessly is destructive. But a man who embraces them, disciplines them, and directs them becomes whole. He becomes magnetic, not because he performs danger, but because he embodies it. And in embodying it, he awakens something in women, in society, even in himself, that safety alone could never ignite. So do not beg. Do not hide. Do not amputate your instincts in the name of acceptance. Carry your danger. Master it. Live as if your fire is your crown. For in the end, it is not kindness that draws the world toward you. It is the dangerous life force within you, restrained, disciplined, alive. Freud's revelation lingers like smoke after a fire. It unsettles because it refuses to flatter us. It does not tell us what we want to hear. It tells us what we have always known but never dared to admit. That desire is not born from safety. That love, in its rawest form, is entangled with danger. This truth terrifies men, because it means being good is not enough. It means kindness alone does not save you. It means the very instincts you were told to repress, your strength, your edge, your capacity for chaos, are the very forces that make you visible, that make you magnetic, that make you a man. And it terrifies women too, because it means their longing is not as innocent as they wish it were. It means their hearts beat faster not for the safest choice, but for the one who unsettles them, for the one who carries fire in his chest, for the one who could burn them, but doesn't. Freud's lesson is merciless, but it is also liberating, because it calls you to stop living as a shadow of yourself, to stop amputating the parts of you that make you dangerous, to stop begging for love through weakness. It calls you to awaken the fire you've buried, to carry it with discipline, to let it shape you into someone who cannot be ignored. Ask yourself, are you living as a man who hides his danger, hoping safety will win him love? Or are you becoming the man who could destroy, but chooses to create? That is the line between invisibility and magnetism, between rejection and desire, between a life wasted and a life fully lived. Freud's truth is not comfortable. It is not polite. It will not win you applause, but it will set you free. Because once you see that women desire not safety, but the paradox of danger restrained, you can never unsee it. You will feel it in every rejection, in every spark of attraction, in every hidden glance. So carry this truth like a flame in your hand, dangerous, alive, impossible to ignore. Let it burn away the lies you've been fed about what love requires. Let it remind you that desire is primal, merciless, and eternal. And let it awaken you to the man you were always meant to be. Because in the end, Freud's revelation is not about women at all. It is about you. And if you dare to live it, you will never walk as a hollow man again. You will walk as fire.